Yeah. Well, hello there. Hello and welcome to the premiere episode of Killing Even More. I am Karyn Bryant here with
Megan Olivi. Hey everyone. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. I love
our This is so exciting. So we just want to set this up. This is the debut episode of our sort of, I don't know, reaction show, recap show. What would you call it?
I feel like it's an everything show. I mean, if you like Killing Eve, just watch this show.
Exactly. So as you can see, Megan and I have gotten dolled up. We will get into the fashion bits a little bit later on. But maybe for a little bit of context, we should just to sort of explain who we are, Megan. So you and I both work in television usually, but usually not on the dramatic side, although we work in a very dramatic business. Maybe you could just give a little context.
Yes, we work in the world of mixed martial arts, so we cover UFC, which are some of the greatest athletes on the planet Earth fighting inside an octagon, men and women. We've done it for a very long time. We travel the world doing it too, so I think you have to keep that in mind when you're watching this show, as we watch Killing Eve, because that's a huge part of the show and what really brought both of us in, I know. But yeah, we just travel the world and cover one of the best sports on the planet and have fun doing it.
Yeah, we absolutely do. And that's how I even came to loving this show. So we were, I was in London last year for UFC London. I was on my way home and I found this show and started binging it. And when I came home, like I'd seen like the whole first season, then I came home and I think I had to wait a little bit for the second season to come. So then I was like tapping my eyes, like fiending. So then, of course, I'm married, tell Wade, I'm like, look I just fell in love with the show. Like, I'm watching it. I don't care. If you want to get on board, it's cool. If you don't, it's mine. I don't care. But so he got into it as well. But so I have loved it since sort of binging on it right away last year. And so now it's been one of those things where the countdown came on where I was like, I cannot wait to do this show and talk about this show some more. So when did you actually first fall in love with Killing Eve, though? Because I don't remember when you first saw it.
Yeah, actually, I feel like I need to credit you because you were always tweeting about it. And then I see all these people talking about it. And then Joseph and I saw it on Hulu one day.
Okay, nice.
You know what? People say this is good. Let's just check it out. And I wasn't quite sure, like, are we gonna get it? It's a BBC program. Is this something that's like gonna, tailored to us or not? So we watched the first 2 episodes, and then they took it off Hulu. So then we had to, we were like, oh no. So we had to go all these different places and watch all the different episodes. And we loved it so much because it mixes so many things. Obviously, like, it's thrilling, it's dramatic, but it's got this incredible fashion and these incredible scenes and great acting. And Joe always says, like, he's like, it's a show, when he explains it to people, he's like, it's a show that your wife or your girlfriend is going to tell you to watch, but you're going to like more than her. You know what I mean?
Yes. Well, that makes a lot of sense. That does. Well, because I might have even explained that to Wade. I might have been like, well, there's this Jodie cover girl. Like, I'm pretty sure you're going to be okay with watching.
You won't mind.
Yeah, you won't mind. Well, we should get into this because obviously we are here to talk about season 3, which just ended for us a little while ago. Hopefully you're not on the West Coast watching this because if so, lots of spoilers. Right at the very end, Megan, we know it's going to be a tough year for Carolyn. And why is that?
Yeah, Carolyn, so she got in a little bit of trouble, past couple of years, and now it looks like she has someone new helping her with the department. She wants to make very clear that they are not her boss, but they are overseeing some things. And you can just tell from the beginning that work is going to be difficult.
Right.
But there's also, at the very end, you find out her regular life and her family life is going to be even more challenging.
Yeah, they killed Kenny, Megan.
I was like, okay, as it was ending, again, spoilers, it was ending, I was like, okay, no. He must have like fought somebody, and then we're gonna find out that Kenny is this nerd with all this martial arts abilities. Like, don't underestimate a person on the street. But then it was Kenny on the ground, and the timing, and we heard the high heels, which was similar to what we heard during Villanelle's wedding ceremony.
Right.
And I thought that was like unique. I don't know if it has anything to tie in or not, but you got the idea that it was a woman, and it was just, I loved him.
I know. I felt really bad too because he's just trying to be a good kid. And then when he was starting to do the research and look some things up, you're like, you probably shouldn't do that. Like, you shouldn't ixnay on the, don't do that. And so, and I, for me, like, I kind of knew something bad was going to happen to him because I read something about this season, just some things about like what to look for, what's coming ahead. And while it wasn't a very, it didn't say exactly what happened. It did just say that, there's tragedy and then Carolyn's going to have to deal with this and, and this and that. I was like, oh no, like there's only one thing, right? There's only one thing it could be. So for me, that really sucks because Kenny, like, he's just a good dude, right? Like, but I'm wondering what you think it means in terms of, like what Eve's going to do, right? Because right now, obviously, she's working in the Korean restaurant. We know, obviously, she survived being shot at the end of last season, but she's working in a Korean restaurant. She's making dumplings. She's working in the back. She could go to the front of the house, but she said she likes it back there. There was that great line where the woman said, like, you can hide, but you can't hide from the problems, right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Something like that. But obviously, she's kind of lost and she's trying to find herself. But I'm just curious what you think is going to happen with her because she's got the bug. She's on the chase. When they asked, like, oh, when's the last time you saw her? And she's like, starts talking about Villanelle. And he's like, yeah, no, I met your husband.
Yes. And you can just tell that it's on her mind all the time. And like the woman at the restaurant said, she's trying to run from it, but it's eventually going to catch up with her.
Right.
I think that for season 3, they had to have this happen to Kenny in order to get Eve out of the funk that she's in. Because I just think that no matter what they really said to her, or this action is happening on these accounts, or we saw this, or we saw that, she was going to stay in her protected bubble. But now I think she really did love Kenny, and this is the only way to get her to put one foot in front of another and kind of go towards this Villanelle situation, or whatever situation it may be, the 12, we don't know. But I think that was the only thing that was really going to get her out of this, because she's trying to protect herself and Nico and this and that. And I just think now she's going to kind of go full steam ahead.
Yeah, and it gives her an opportunity for a rapprochement, if you will, with Carolyn, in that they can now, they were kind of on the outs, and Eve messed up, and there's all this stuff going on, and even though, I think they're friends and stuff, but they butted heads a little bit, and I think it does give them a reason to kind of come back around. Here's what I wanted to ask you about, because both you and I don't know if you saw the movie Bombshell, if people saw this movie that came out, and it was about Fox News, and it was about the men, and the Me Too and all this stuff. How many times the dude touched Carolyn when granted they're old friends or whatever, but he like poked her at one point, then grabbed her on the shoulder. Oh, and I got to take your office too. And like all of this smarmy.
Smarmy was the word I used too.
Oh, he made me nuts. And like you could just see, because she knows he's going to be a pain in the ass. But I was just sitting there. I was like, don't touch her again. Don't touch her again.
Oh, he just went down there just to do all of that. He wasn't having lunch. He made
totally wasn't.
He was having lunch with the chief. He just wanted to go down there and insert his dominance. You know what I mean? He wanted to show that, oh, I'm here and there's nothing you can do about it, and this is who you have to answer to. Oh, it made me so uncomfortable that entire time. I felt like Carolyn held her own so amazingly, and her response were so perfect. They were a little biting, but not too much, But I was so troubled by that scene. I was like, I know I'm going to have anxiety and rage built up throughout the season at him.
I totally did. So I'm curious what your take was on the one killing that we did see. This time it was in Spain, and everything looks so nice. I mean, we didn't get to see Villanelle dress up as much as we do in a lot of other episodes, but in this one she was like the handyman or whatever, delivery. But what did you make of the one murder we got this episode?
I think it was an ode to Dasha, who I'm guessing was her teacher at a school.
I think so, at like killer camp or whatever. Yeah.
Wherever you go for that. I mean, it was an ode to that, but I thought it was interesting at the end how she said, she kind of laughed at, oh, untouchable. Right. And so I don't know, was she supposed to do that? What really role did that murder play in this situation?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Because Constantine got the note, time to go fishing or whatever, right? And it's like, okay, well, we're back on the job. Yep. And I get that maybe she, I think that's kind of cool that Villanelle wants to get back in there and she's asking for higher rank and all that. So yeah, I wasn't exactly 100% sure on like why that person had to be murdered or what that whole setup was. Yeah, but the tribute, it was the tribute doing Dasha's whole bit with the powder and the whole bit and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, untouchable, I was like, okay, so, nobody's untouchable,
Yeah, and I wasn't quite sure what she meant by that. And was she trying to set it up to look like Dasha did it? Or was it an ode to her,
Right, yeah, because I'm not sure, and I don't know if this woman who was killed was allegedly untouchable, you know what I mean? In the Cosa Nostra, if it's one of those things, although they were in Spain, they were in Italy, but like if it was one of those things where this woman was allegedly somebody that wasn't supposed to get, and she's like, hey, oh yeah, I'll show you who's untouchable, or like you said, if it was certainly a tribute to Dasha in some way.
Right, exactly. And I just have to say, in the beginning scenes, Dasha gave me, I know it's a totally different country, but she gave me Nadia Comaneci vibes.
Totally.
Old school gymnastics with the bangs. Because I used to be a gymnast, and I was just like, oh my God, this is so Nadia Comaneci. But obviously Romania must have.
Yes. Well, yes.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you brought up a lot of things, and right now I just want to see, because I want to look over here and see if we have any questions right away, but I do see that we have people. Hi, ladies. I love that there's folks joining in on us, and I just had to put my glasses on for a second to look at this, and we are going to definitely take a lot of questions as well. People asking Megan why you're so lovely. She just born that way, folks. She woke up like this. That's how it goes.
I didn't wake up like
it's funny. But I'm glad people are tuning into this right now. So we will definitely get to some of your questions as well. But I want to go on a little tangent, if we could, on the gymnastics thing, because I was going to ask you about this. People can't really tell with us here on Skype or whatever, but I'm 5'8", and you're 5.
That's
okay. So I too did gymnastics though as a child, because it's a lot of those things that you do as a kid. So when I was watching that, I was like, she could flip on the bars. Yeah, I couldn't ever do that. But I could do the stuff on the beam, and I got to the point where I could do like a cartwheel on the balance beam, and I enjoyed gymnastics, but it's one of those sports that, being on the bigger side, that I was just like, oh, look at what they get to do. That's so cute. And so, yeah, like I was wondering if that was a sport that you did, because it totally seemed like you would have.
Yes, it was a sport that I did from a very young age. I had to stop kind of in the middle, because gymnastics, for those of you who don't know, is a very expensive sport.
Yeah.
I was the youngest, so I did it at a really young age, and then I took some years off, and then I did it when I was a little bit older, probably like 11 through 14, but it was something I was very naturally good at because I am small. So when you're a kid, you're not scared of anything. Like, you don't realize what could happen to you when you are doing all these flips or jumping from bar to bar. Yeah. So my best event was the bars, because I had no idea. But now if you put me on there, I would be terrified. I'd be like, I'm going to hurt everything. Yeah. I'm going to dislocate this and that. No, even when I was watching her, I was like, okay, I could do like very few of those things that she was doing. I'm like, I didn't have any fear, but if you asked me to do it now, it would be terrified.
Yeah, I could do like basic stuff and a penny drop, but so I'm guessing, so Dasha, when she was training Villanelle, right? So they're part of this whole bit, but it's funny because the whole fearlessness theme, right? Like I wonder if that's one of those things that, because Villanelle, I think that's what's so attractive about her as a character, right? Is that she seems fearless, and even though we know very clearly once she found a human connection, she kind of is actually afraid of losing that one human connection, right, with Eve. But she is somebody that's able to sort of blend and go through so many experiences. And I don't know what it is about, I just love the way her spirit is. And even though her spirit is dark, it's weird, right? Because it's not, she's not happy, but like, she finds levity in this darkness, but she has a real survivor spirit to me, which I find, even though she's not a hero we're supposed to root for, like, she is somebody that I root for. I don't know if you root for
her. Exactly. And then, like, in the beginning of this episode, when she's getting married, I don't know about you, but I was kind of happy.
Yes.
I was like, okay, all right, even though
that's the outfits, right?
Yeah, her odes to her wedding outfit. Yes. But we're both missing the giant flower.
Yes. I know.
But when that was happening, it seemed like everybody in the room was really genuinely, excited for them. And it seemed like she maybe had some love in her life. And I was like, all right, maybe she turned the corner and she's going to do okay. But then she started naming all the things she loved about her wife. Right. And my favorite thing was that she included a tailor, because throughout these seasons where we've fallen in love with her fashion, it's been so perfectly tailored. Yeah. And that obviously has a lot to do with all the people that are working in the wardrobe department, the costume department. But when she said that, I was kind of like, this is on we're breaking the wall for a second, because they're kind of talking to us about who she is as a character of us watching, but also she's mentioning it like to her wife.
Right. Well, and also, if you're a fan of Phoebe Waller-Bridge, that's something that she uses a lot. I personally loved Fleabag, and so I love that convention of breaking that fourth wall. And you're right, it is a nod, because as soon as she said the tailor, I was like, hee, like I totally giggled there, and I was like, it's like how I would, I've been married for a very long time, but if Wade decided he all of a sudden wanted to become a master chef, I would be very happy to pay for those classes. You know what I mean? It's like, if you want to be a master chef or a tailor,
yep,
have at it, bro. And so but yes, you're right, because this is a Ted Baker suit that I'm rocking. I think it's just a Gap t-shirt, but I did pay a little homage to Russia, because this is my my little necklace that I got. If we can get it up close, I think I can open it up here. My hands are, anyway, it opens up and it has this is the little doll that comes out,
Oh my gosh.
And so it's the little, yes. So I actually was able to go to Russia twice last year. And so when they did do that throwback scene in Moscow, in the gym, I was like, I went to Moscow last year. It was not as cold and stark as that. It was actually pretty great. But yeah, the fashion of the show. But to get back to your whole point there with Villanelle, I too thought, okay, she's happy. She found some love. But I did think that was a great reveal, because you didn't know whose wedding it was actually at the beginning. And that bride was so beautiful. That dress was gorgeous. And I was like, oh, Villanelle has to kill somebody at a wedding. Like that other season when she killed the old dude, you know what I mean, at the old guy's birthday. I was like, oh, somebody's gonna die. and then it went, but then it was hers. And I was same thing for you though. I was like happy that she found some love, but at the same time, then I was like, it's not gonna last.
No, this is, and also, how long were they together at this point?
Right.
Because she killed even Rome, and then she must have, I don't know if she went right to Spain. We know that she loved living in Paris.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, I feel like hopefully I'd love to see them fill in those blanks, and just kind of see how did Eve recover? Also, true. I mean, we know that Taurus found her, and they found her very quickly, but she still got shot in the chest.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, what was that healing process like?
Yeah, what was that healing process like? And how is it that, yes, obviously she's back in London, and other part of England there, and she's working in the Korean shop. But also, by the way, because we wanted this show to be educational, Megan. Yeah. And I don't know if you know, I know for folks, Megan is Italian, but believe it or not, drinks the least amount of wine of any Italian I know.
That would be zero.
I'll have her share. So in honor of Oksana, I'm just having some Russian vodka, but I did reach out to a friend of mine who is a bartender, because it's like, hey, when you're at a Korean restaurant, what should you order? And so if you guys are on Instagram and you want to know, his name is @drinkmarket. Drink, spell out the word drink, and then MARK, and then he just puts T. There's no E in market. But he is a fantastic bartender and drink master in New York. So he said if you go to a Korean restaurant, you should get a gimlet with shochu or sake and shisho leaf if they have it. Now, he said that might be more of a Japanese thing, but if they have it, you want a gimlet with shochu or sake and shisho leaf.
I love
Just want to help people out when they go out for Korean food. Just want to give them a little bit of a mention there. Yeah.
We're here to help you guys.
Yes, trying to be helpful. But so in terms of where the season is going for me, I'm excited to see Villanelle actually get back to being the bad guy. Like last season, it was cool when she was working with them and really trying to catch Aaron and everything. But at the same time, I like when they let her free.
Yes, and what I think is interesting is I didn't read the same thing that you read, because I didn't know about Kenny. But I was reading something about the showrunners and how every season they have a different showrunner. And we talked about this you and I, yesterday. Yeah. But it's always a woman, and it's always different every season. Well, interesting enough, the showrunner for season 3 is actually in direct communication with Phoebe, who was showrunner for season 1. And I think, from what I've read, it's going to be a lot of sort of like tying up loose ends and bringing it back to the Villanelle we saw in season 1 that made us all fall in love with her. And I too would love that. You know, I think, season 2 was cool, but she was more being hunted. And we like to see her as the hunter, because she pulls off these things that, you can't even imagine. I mean, when she was in Tuscany and she just walked into that party and grabbed the dress and she's playing with kids and it's, it's amazing. And so I feel like it'll be really interesting to see if she's able to get back to that and have more beautiful locations in Europe. And but I have a question for you, Karyn.
Yes.
When Eve met up with Nico.
When she met up with who? With
Nico, her husband.
Yes.
Where were they?
I don't know, right? Because they were sort of outside on this thing, and like she looks like she lives in a real dumpy part of England and stuff right now, right? So was
he in a rehab facility or like a mental health place?
Well, he might be in a sanitary, like because clearly he would have left school. Right. Yeah, I don't know. He did, and he looked sort of in the pajamas, robesy, sort of like you said, like institutionalized. That's a good question because I could totally see him perhaps freaking out.
I mean, even when he was still obviously upset about how they were presenting his girlfriend's death,
right?
But because there was a receptionist, and then they went outside to like a sort of a shared area, and I thought, okay, this is interesting. Where is he?
Yeah, I wonder did he drink too much or something like
rehab? Like
yeah.
They'll get into that story as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because, it is interesting because obviously their marriage, we saw the undoing of it. But again, like I mentioned before in that scene where they're like, when's the last time you saw her? And she's completely talking about Villanelle and it's supposed to be Nico. So she was gone a long time. Eve was gone a long time before it actually broke up. But I did think when she was signing the paperwork and she's like, oh, one day at a time, do this, do that. That took me back to Carolyn's thing with what's-his-face who was being so mean to her. And she said, well, divorces are easy. She said the marriages are the hard part or whatever. And then in my head, I was thinking that's what Eve was thinking, even though she didn't hear that conversation. Right. Do you know what I mean? In my head, I was thinking, okay, maybe Eve has gotten to the point where she's like, no, actually, this is the easy part. And we can fix or work on some other stuff after, but like just sign this.
Yeah. No, I think it's nice to see them intertwining those kind of between the two women because you've got to imagine it's going to be something that bonds them throughout that. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes, that and Kenny.
I don't want it to be true. This is the thing.
It's true. I think it's true.
I know it is. It is. I'm just like in my head. I'm like, maybe she imagined that.
Yeah. Well, for me, I'm always like, as the actor, you're like, F yeah, season 3, bitches. And then you sit down at the table read, you're like, really, dude?
That was a nice one episode we got from you, Kenny.
Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, but I did think it was great. Here, one other little show and tell thing, because if we can't do show and tell, we're all coronavirus lockdown anyway. Yes. Something else that I did get in Russia, like I said, we were going to do a show and tell here. So this was one of those things that I needed to get when I was there, and I was able to go to Russia twice. This one I did believe I did get in St. Petersburg. Now, you didn't buy one in St. Petersburg, you said, did you?
No.
Yeah, that's a fail on you, Megan, because...
I know. But to be fair, my brother wrestled against the Russian team, and they gave gifts. They gave all the family members gifts, and so I got some from the Russian wrestlers back in like 1996.
Okay, because I went to the store, and I went, and obviously I think this one has 10 or something like this, but this was like I was on a mission.
I remember
to get these when we were in St. Petersburg, and so then when I went, I got some for our whole family. When I went back later in the year to Moscow, I got a music box with the church and everything. Like Russia is actually an incredible place, and I hope that they do. I think that's one thing that I did read about this season is that they were going to show Villanelle going back home a little bit more.
Yeah.
So that's going to be kind of cool to see her. But Russia is a pretty great place, and I was supposed to go back there again this year at some point. We will see, obviously, because of the coronavirus, if our travel is going to allow for that. But as we mentioned at the top of the show, Megan and I usually do cover MMA, and we travel a lot. And so, yeah, those are a couple of places that I've not been to Spain yet, have been to Italy, and been to Russia a couple of times. So, yeah, we can take a couple of questions. It's just my iPad keeps going in and out, so I have to keep...
I saw one come up from...
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Peter. I couldn't catch your last name. But he asked, and this is a great question because I'm very torn. Karyn, who do you think actually killed Kenny?
Who killed Kenny? This is...
Okay.
I'm wondering if the guy who asked him to go down to the pub for quiz night. Okay, like, so is he real? Like, because here's my thing now, right? Now that Kenny's working at this place, and like, can you trust anybody? Now I don't trust anybody. I guess that other guy was there before, right? So maybe he's not really a plant, right? So I don't think it's that guy.
Okay.
But somehow, clearly, somebody has figured out what Kenny's doing at work, and they're seeing his searches, right?
Totally agree.
So is it just somebody from MI6 like that?
Didn't want him involved?
I feel like Constantine's involved somewhere because Constantine has history with his mom.
And he got the note, let's go fishing, which
right.
could be nothing, and they're trying to throw us off, which they do all the time. But also, it could really just be the plain and obvious that this is what happened. And I think interesting that he told Eve he tracked Eve's phone to her apartment.
Right.
And they most likely tracked his phone to work.
Exactly. And phishing is also a computer term. I mean, if we're going extra deep. No, but I don't know that has anything. Yeah. I just figured it was somebody from MI6 that either knew and could figure out what he was searching for and didn't, was finding out that he was getting on a trail of something that they didn't want him to know. And, or they knew that by hurting him was going to, hurt Carolyn, hurt Eve, or draw her back in somehow. I mean, I don't think it's Villanelle if that's where you're going with this.
I don't think it's Villanelle either, but the heels, I don't know. For some reason, I'm like, is it Dasha? Because those heels that I felt like, I mean, is a man going to wear dress shoes to go kill somebody? Very well could. They're in
and Carolyn's not so savage to kill her own kid. She's savage.
I don't know. That's the other thing. Because she knew where he was. I'm not going to put anything past her.
Okay, yeah, I don't know.
I know. This is very hard, and that's why we're doing the show.
That's why we're doing the show. Okay, let's see if we have some other questions. So some people saying they missed the fight game, which of course we definitely do as well.
As soon as the phone rings, we all promise we will be there. We're just
yes, believe me. Yeah, so it's funny. We're getting some questions about our other gig, which is fight gigs, which maybe we can answer some of these at the end. But I am actually curious for you. What I was going to say, in terms of Eve and Villanelle, like their whole love thing, because like I watched the last couple episodes of last season before we got to this one, and I forgot about the quote unquote menage a trois, like when Eve is with the guy from work, but she still had the earpiece in.
Yep.
And the next morning he's like, oh, thanks for the threesome, right? So
he knew, yeah.
I'm keeping this show PG-13 or whatever, but I mean, do you think that Villanelle and Eve are ever actually going to consummate this thing or what?
That's a great question. That's a great question. I feel like if it was going to happen, it was season 2 because of emotionally the bond they were getting. They obviously had a physical one, being in the same house quite often. I don't think it's going to happen in season 3. I think there's too much hate unless it's one of those hate-filled ones. I don't know.
Right.
But I don't know. And I don't know. That's interesting because I don't know how much Eve has healed those feelings. You know what I mean? Or at least put them in the back. And especially now that Kenny is gone, I think that she's going to, that almost would be too big a burden to bear. If that makes sense.
It does, but if Villanelle is the only person who understands her.
True.
Like if they've talked about how they're the same, once Eve killed, she killed her for her. She killed for her love. Like they're forever bonded now. And it's weird because I don't know, like if we're extracting it all, from Phoebe's other show, right, on Fleabag, and I don't want to give anything away, but it's a spoiler alert there too. She does hook up with the priest, right? Yeah. So you know what I mean? The whole cat and mouse thing. If we're playing the Phoebe Waller-Bridge, the cat and the mouse actually do catch each other at some point. It's just that what happens after it.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, and I think that's almost a plot that everybody kind of is forgetting the beginning of season 3, right? Like there's no real mention of that kind of stuff, or either of them thinking about the other. So it looks like they kind of went their own separate ways. Like Eve is going back to Nico.
Right.
Got married, but not gonna last. I'm gonna guess.
Right. Well, yeah, that's the other thing. She blows out of the wedding. I was like, what does the bride think? Like, and that was the question. How much did the bride know about what she really does Like, and I did think that was very romantic, though, that she claimed that Villanelle just walked up and she says, I'm going wherever you're going at the airport. I was like, oh my God, this is my heart. It's so cute. But, like, yeah, does she know? Like, that's one thing, and I don't know if we'll ever find that out or not, but I was really curious, like, how much does this woman really know about Villanelle and how long were they together? And, I mean, it wasn't that long, right? Because
you can't
saw the scar and stuff on her back. So it wasn't really that long. Like you said, how much love are they in? What does she really know? Is it going to what does she just be like, peace out, baby? I'm like,
I feel like she's so much of a survivalist that this was just her way. She had to like act. We always see her play these different roles to do her assassinations.
Right.
It was like, was this just her means to survival? And of course, Villanelle can't just survive like with the bare minimum. She had to go with the mansion, with the pool, with the tailor.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah. Right. Exactly. So it's like, okay, perfect.
Right. And it's funny because because even last season, just looking at Aaron's place, like his villa in Rome, and I was like, oh my God, right? Because we went to Venice and we've been to Tuscany. I haven't been to Rome yet. But even just, the places are stunning. They're just so beautiful. And even where that wedding was taking place, I was like, oh my God, this is just so gorgeous. This is just so gorgeous. And then they trashed it like that and I was horrified.
I know. There's always blood everywhere in all these beautiful places. Come on, guys.
Nice. All right, Wade's popping up another graphic for us here. I'm looking at some things here. So this is, who killed Kenny? Yeah, there we go.
Wade.
There we go. So let's see. We're going to check. Because really, oh my God, somebody said this show sounds like it has more drama than Joe Exotic doing his thing. Yes. Way better than Joe Exotic and Tiger King.
Karen's not a Tiger King fan.
So Phantomizer Mo is asking, is there blood and gore? And I will actually tell you this. There's not a lot because we let our daughter watch it this time now. She's 13. And it's funny because beforehand, I in my head, I kind of thought of this show a little bit more violent, and I was like, oh, it's, it's assassin and it's a cop show and there's violence. And then when I really thought about it, I was like, actually, it's really not bad. Even though Villanelle is killing people, yes, you might see the end result, but you're not seeing anything overly gratuitous. There's a lot of comedy, and not for nothing, like we said before, it's women driven. And so if I can show my daughter a show with kick-ass women on it, then I definitely want to show her that. So she watched, 3 episodes now, and she'll probably keep watching it with us. So to answer your question there, no, it's not overly bloody, and no, it's not overly gory. I think the storyline is really what draws you in more, right? The cat and mouse part of it. You're drawn in about the interpersonal relationships, and sure, the killing part is fun and for sure the fashion, but it's not so gory that it's overwhelming. I don't think.
And I'm really weird. I watch people fight for a living, and I see people bleed, including my own husband, like all the time. And for me, I can't watch it being faked on television. It's really strange. Like I have a hard time watching fight scenes on TV or anything like that. So it's like you said, it's rare that I'll look away, because normally if I'm watching even any sort of show that has any sort of blood or violence, I'm like, I can't watch this.
Right.
Until it's over. This one is much easier to handle for sure, and it is such a beautifully shot show.
Yes,
I feel like they also don't want to take away from that and kind of have these like jarring scenes that don't fit the rest of the program. You know what I mean?
I do feel like at any moment they could also be shooting Eat, Pray, Love.
Oh yes. I mean, the cinematography is sometimes like out of a film. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This is gorgeous.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. Hey, while I look at these questions for a second, Megan, speaking of Italy and Eat, Pray, Love and all that, did you or did you not put up a gnocchi recipe today?
I did, yeah. So obviously I am Italian and it's Easter, and so my Easter tradition in my family was to make gnocchis and watch The Godfather.
Nice.
That's just what we do. And so I figure, I don't know, everybody's stuck at home. And, people have a lot of food in their houses at this point. And normally you have potatoes and flour and salt.
Right.
And that's really at the end of the day all you need. And so I just thought it would be fun to share. And, I don't know how to do these videos, so I just kind of shot it on my phone and, I'll put it on Instagram and see if it helps them. So hopefully people liked it, but they are delicious.
Yes, well, it sounds very good. And so people, should follow you on Instagram. Olivi is how you spell her last name, folks, because I bet you get a lot of interesting spellings for your last name.
Yes, and interesting pronunciations. So I can say the I's sound like E's. Just look at it and then say the I's like E's.
Right. And I get, for Karyn Bryant, people spell Karyn wrong all the time, but they're like, oh, I'm so sorry about your brother, Kobe. I'm like, oh, it's not my brother, but I'm sorry too, but we're not related. We're not related, but I'm not seeing too many questions so much as I'm just seeing a lot of people commenting here and saying that they're enjoying it and stuff like that. So I am appreciative. And Mario Moreira, you're my fan from Brazil. Obrigada. Actually, Megan, I was going to ask you if you need to learn Portuguese, because apparently there's a big Killing Eve fan base down in Brazil too. I was like, really? I could do this show. So we got
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, this show, it really is great. But yeah, so for the fashion on this episode, yeah, I feel like we were cheated a little. There wasn't so much fashion, obviously, with Eve just working in the restaurant and kind of schlubbing around. Well, whatever. Carolyn is often well dressed and stuff like that. But as we see in this picture here that we're putting up, I know they put out, I guess, like a coloring book type. Look at Constantine. I want to give Constantine like a Supreme Louis Vuitton jacket, right?
All off-white straps everywhere. Oh, I need to get this for Joseph. My husband would love making everyone's outfits in that coloring book. I was
just gonna say, every week we should have him color them in, and we'll put them in. Yeah. We'll put them up.
I'm gonna have to ask him for that.
Yeah. Well, there. I mean, this episode, it was a lot of establishment for the first season. Yeah. Thematically for me, yeah, really curious to see what happens when Villanelle and Eve get back together. Because at this point, Megan, it's the rubber match, right? Eve stabbed Villanelle, and Villanelle shot Eve.
Yep. Yes. And who is going to come out on top in what could be the final matchup, but I don't think it's going to be the final matchup.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting to see how Dosh is going to come into play. I think that's going to bring in Villanelle's past a lot, which I'm, like you said earlier, I'm really looking forward to seeing, because how did she become this incredibly talented, even though it sounds weird to say, assassin?
I know. It is.
You're like super good at killing people.
She's really talented. And you do wonder, you're like, what else could she have done? I mean, she could have done a lot of other things, right?
Exactly. Yeah, her language skills alone tell you she could have done a million things, what we learned last season. But I feel like, because people who are tuning into this obviously know us from our other jobs, which is, we are so privileged to have that as our career, to be able to work with UFC and follow it around the globe. But while we're on hiatus, why not feed our passions? And so if you guys aren't familiar with the program, you can watch it on Hulu, which if you have ESPN Plus, you can bundle together, actually save some money, and you can catch up. And it's a really easy show to digest. Yeah. You and I both binged it very quickly. Yeah. It's not like you have to take, forever to really let it sink in. You can kind of watch one after another, and you will enjoy it with your partner, spouse, whoever. You will really, I think, no matter who you're with, you will both find something you like in it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And I don't know if you have favorite scenes or anything from the other seasons, but for me, or favorite outfits and favorite scenes too. But for me, when she was in the club in Germany and when Villanelle had to go take care of business in that club and she was in that suit, I was like, God. Yep. And I think we had a picture here of Villanelle in one of her floral suits or whatever. For me, yeah, I do love the suit. Like I said, this is Ted Baker. But I don't know but Ted Baker does a lot of florals. I don't know what she's wearing in that. But she has the greatest stuff. So to the stylist on this show, such a high five for you. You do such an incredible job. Exactly. I mean, really, that's such a fun part of this whole show.
Oh, yeah. It's Sam Perry. A man named Sam Perry is a costume designer for this season. And he's going to have a big 70s vibe. But for me, the most iconic moment, and I should have told you this, I don't know if we have a photo, but it was when she wore the pink dress. The combat boots. And I feel like the combat boots were either Chanel or Alexander Wang. I'm not sure, because they had the cutouts on the side. But that to me was just that's what you see on a runway, and it's what you see in these crazy Vogue advertisements for the first 80 pages of the magazine, and it was just the epitome of cool, hip, modern fashion. I freaking loved it.
Oh, I loved it too. And what was so great about that is that's when she had to go to the therapist, right? And she was getting tested and everything. And what was so great about that is she's wearing this really childish outfit and everything, but with the boots, it was a juxtaposition of, because, really, and I think this was the point I was trying to make before I got on the gymnastics thing, but she is very childlike, right? Because certainly a lot of her youth, obviously she was stunted in a lot of ways and didn't get to have her youth, didn't get to have her childhood, which is why I think she's so playful in what she's doing. And it's like, the playfulness that she didn't get to have as a child goes through to the job that she has now. She just happens to be a killer, but she finds a fun way with it. But the whimsy of that outfit, particularly that pink outfit, was so great. And to me, this just really captured everything. They're like this fun, playful, childish, whatever thing, but it's big and it's over the top, and everything she does is over the top. And it really was, just such a great, please forget it.
She doesn't know what the word subtle is. She's not.
Yes. No. Well, so folks, so you know where to find this. So right now we're doing this on YouTube. So tomorrow, or even right after we're done here, hopefully you are not an East Coast viewer. I mean a West Coast viewer, because we just spoiled the whole damn thing for you.
Well, we warned you.
Yes,
we warned you, and so it's your own fault.
Exactly. So right now this is on the Karyn Bryant YouTube channel, and then we are going to put it on Megan's Instagram as well. So Megan, why don't you tell people where to find it so they can figure out where to watch this on other platforms?
So I'll put it on my IGTV at Megan, MEGAN, no extra letters, Olivi, OLIVI, all one word. It's the same as my Twitter handle, and I'll put it on my Instagram. And something I just found out today is the fact that I can actually make the series of all these recap shows on my IGTV. So it will be on there. I'll put it on my story as well to make sure that you are able to see it. But yeah, so we'll be doing this to recap all the episodes of Killing Eve, hopefully.
Yes, it's going to be great. So you can find it there. And then also we created a Killing Even More Twitter, and also Killing Even More on Instagram as well. And so and killingevenmore.com. Wade producing from upstairs in the office. He's like, and yell down this and do that. It's like, we need a can with some strings. And tell him that thing. And so there is killingevenmore.com. There is Killing Even More on IG. There is Killing Even More on Twitter as well. So people can go there, and, we'll play around with those as well. But also, on Instagram and Twitter, I'm Karyn Bryant on Twitter, KB Heat on Instagram. But I just, this was just one of those fun things, Megan. I'm glad we're making it happen. And maybe, I don't know if I think it would have happened regardless of the coronavirus lockdown. But I know, for a lot of people, we're sitting here and we're like, usually out and about doing a lot of stuff. Yeah. And I just felt really compelled to do something about a show that I really loved. And it was fun to kind of wear a different hat, because you and I are usually talking to, people and this and that. And just to be a fan of something that I just really, really love. So I've had fun with this.
Me too, and I appreciate you coming up with this idea and the Killing Even More. You guys, take a look at this font. Really, the detail that went into all this is really incredible, so you and Wade deserve so much credit for that. And I'm so glad that we're friends, and we're also friends of this, and we can now share this with the rest of the world, because I was late to the game on it, and your tweets really brought me into checking it out, so now here we are. One big happy family.
Yes, very much so. And yes, Wade Eck, you can follow him on Twitter as well. He's putting this together production-wise, doing all making sure this is even visible online and everything. And in the future, we're hoping to get some guests, and hopefully, Megan, we can cross over our worlds a little, because I have to believe that the flyweight champ, Valentina Shevchenko, has got to be a Killing Eve fan. Ladies and gentlemen, just for a moment, indulge us. If you are not a fan of the UFC, but you wanted to see a movie version, or not even a movie version because the actors would do this, a real-life version of this, I would show you Valentina Shevchenko, who is from Kyrgyzstan, and I would show you her skill set, and I would show you how lovely she is, and I would say, Villanelle, meet your real life counterpart here, because that to me, and it's fun with that, because Valentina is such a sweetheart, but I believe we're going to get some fight fans, some fighters that maybe want to come and talk about this as well.
I hope so, and if they haven't watched it, maybe we can force it upon them during this quarantine and just tell them they have to binge it, and then they'll have no choice but to come on, because they'll be obsessed with it.
Exactly. And now my iPad, it crashed, or it didn't crash me, it locked out, but a Little Snoop, I believe, I'm hearing Little Snoop is giving us some love here. Let me unlock it again. I got my brand new, and I'm enjoying it. But okay, so Little Snoop giving us a lot of shout outs here and stuff. Oh, Little Snoop gave a donation.
I didn't even know that was a thing. Hi.
I know, neither. It is. It's a thing. They can do. Thank you, Little Snoop, for that. All right. Well, so yeah, we'll be doing this every Sunday night at 7:30 here on YouTube. Then, and once again, it'll be over on Instagram on Megan's there. So for me on Twitter, Karyn Bryant, and on Instagram, it's KB Heat, and this is on the Karyn Bryant channel on YouTube. Megan, where can they find you?
Just at Megan Olivi on Twitter and Instagram, and I don't have a YouTube, but maybe we should start one. I don't know.
Yes. And of course, once again, there's killingevenmore.com and Killing Even More on Twitter and Instagram. So hopefully you can go over there and give a follow. Until then, I guess we'll just have to figure out what to wear for next week. And yeah, I'll see you next Sunday night.
Bye, guys.
Bye.